Good afternoon. So I thought I'd update a past paper question that was first covered in 2016, talking about prices. We've got competitive pricing in the question here and promotions. So lower sixth have just finished the promotions unit. They're going on to pricing strategies, and the upper sixth and the lower sixth this week are completing a prep on different pricing strategies and researching contextual examples so they can see them. And you'll see from the prep that I've extended the psychological pricing section far beyond what's in the textbook, because the silly example that's in the textbook of 99 pence instead of a round pound, although it's true, it's nowhere near the extent of psychological pricing that we see, for example, in supermarkets. So I've completed a little bit of research for you. There's an article that's going to be on the next slide, which I'm not going to read in full to you. I advise that you will pause the video and read the article. Okay, and first of all, we're going to explore a little bit of planning, because that's something that some of us need to practice. And then what I'd like you to do is, once you have followed the planning instructions or done your own version, read the article, identify the evidence that you would need in your 4P paragraphs, and we'll be off. Excuse me. So this is, as I say, a rework of the 2016 question. So I've just changed it slightly, but hardly at all, to be honest with you. So to increase its profits, Tesco could use competitive pricing or increase the amount of promotions. So we can see, first of all, two options in every 20 marker. Option 1, competitive pricing, and option 2, the amount of promotions. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 next to the word, that's a 2, believe it or not, next to amount, and clearly that's the second option within its stores. Okay, so I'm not going to be going off onto some mad rant about something that I've remembered about online shopping and dropping a cardo into my case study unless it's mentioned in the case study. Okay, so it's really important that we're answering the questions. We then go to the second half of the question, evaluate these two options. Okay, we've identified the options, and recommend which option, as in one of them, Tesco's should use to improve its profits. Now, the observant ones watching the video will see that they've mentioned increase profits and improve profits. It's mentioned the hook twice. So we know they should use to improve its profits. These are our hooks. Instantly we're thinking about, well, how would we improve profits? Well, maybe I could just sell more stuff and overall I might be able to make more profits. Maybe I could lower the cost of production. That's what you would automatically go to. Maintain prices and increase profits. Obviously, your gross profit versus overall profit argument. So it could be that I increase prices to increase profits. Now, we can see from our sort of extract 1 here, we've got, so our extract 1 is sort of that. And we've already got a bit of a case study here already, haven't we? If we were to see this in an exam, which I very much doubt that you will. They've done the calculation for us because, clearly Aldi's are trying to persuade Tesco customers to come to them instead. And we can see that we've got a mixed basket in there. Now, the observant here will, so if I was to look at my McCoy's crisps and the crumbly leftovers of crisps that are in the bottom of the packet, we've got own brand versus branded straight away. So we can question the reliability of this, but you'll also notice that the marketing people have put Colgate next to each other. Yeah, and here we have Andrex, and here we have own brand. Yeah, here we probably have Pampers, and here we have the rip-off version of Pampers. So, not all customers are going to be persuaded by this, but if I was given this as a data extract, which you probably won't, I would question the reliability of the data that's presented. And here we can see that this is not a like-for-like comparison. quite important that we understand the branding messages. Now, Tesco's tried to do the same thing, and if you're keeping up to date with the news, you will see that they tried to claim that their basket was cheaper than Aldi's, or it might have been Lidl's, not quite sure. And they were taken to the Advertising Standards Agency because it wasn't true. So we have to go very, very careful with that as well. Okay, but we understand Aldi's and Lidl's, their brand is built around value. Okay, so we've got our 2 points, and we're thinking about competitive pricing here. I'm thinking competitive pricing. Well, here's 2 competitors, and we've got pricing strategies here. Okay, promotions, we've revised the different types of promotions, and also when we're revising pricing strategies in tandem with that, some of the psychological pricings that could drop into the promotions sort of theory as well. But go very careful that you don't just talk about pricing strategies. We need 4 paragraphs here, an answer, and clearly there's roughly the structure that we should be using. Now, one area of improvement for some students is we need to make sure that we're clearly demonstrating an understanding of the key terms at the beginning of each of these options. Okay, so we've got competitive pricing here, and I would be expecting to see a description in context of what competitive pricing is, and then you answer your question. Okay, that would form part of your first paragraph. But without a clear understanding demonstrated of that knowledge, you haven't got the knowledge marks. And in a 20 marker that we did a while ago, some people didn't really define social trends, for example. They just talked about the benefits and the disadvantages of social trends, but didn't really demonstrate an understanding of it. And we capped your mark at half, because you only answered half a question. So go very careful. So we will have to define in context competitive pricing. We will have to demonstrate an understanding, define in context promotions. So here is the article. Okay, this is probably the equivalent of 2 data extracts. And you can see there's an in summary section at the end of it, which you would never get in an exam paper, but it sort of just repeats what I've already told you in the data extract. My advice is you pause the video, you go in and you identify 2 examples of pricing strategies. Okay, you're going to need that. It might be 2 examples of the same pricing strategy, but have a look. You need at least 2 pieces of evidence, one for your pro paragraph, one for your con paragraph. Then go in and look for evidence of different promotions. Okay, there's lots of stuff in here. So we'll walk through for promotions, for example. We have got Tesco Club Card loyalty program. Okay, 19 million members. Better Baskets initiative linked into this to do with healthier choices. This is a different one. So Tesco Club Card, I can walk in there. I get vouchers every quarter. I think we get vouchers through the post from Tesco's. Also, when I'm in the supermarket, sometimes they've got prices. Price for the product. However, if you're a Tesco Club Card member, you get this. And remember, the club cards are free, so it's not some sort of membership scheme to get discounts. They're just persuading us if we are loyal, they will reward it in exchange for all of our data. So, you know, we've got some great bits in this sentence as well. Fostering a sense of loyalty and repeat patronage. Oh, lovely. Repeat customers coming back. Remember the golden rule of marketing. Really expensive to get new customers. It's less expensive to keep customers loyal, and loyal customers will buy more stuff from you more frequently. There was some research out there, can't remember in what sector, that estimated that loyal customers in some sectors are up to 90% more profitable than new customers. Okay, but it's really expensive to get the new ones. So once you've got them, keep them loyal. Tesco's are probably one of the masters at doing this. However, even Tesco's lose customers sometimes because they're perceived as more expensive than Aldi's and Lidl's. Okay, so we're looking at a couple of examples of promotions. We've got buy one, get one free in here. We've got private label brands. Yeah, so the Tesco Finest, the Tesco's in the middle somewhere, and the Tesco's Value, 3 different price propositions that we've talked about extensively in class. You can do the pricing strategies one. So here is our question, and just to remember how quick it is to plan, competitive pricing, the amounts of promotion within its stores, okay, and 1 and 2 options. We're looking for the hook. The hook is repeated twice in this type of question. We have got increase its profits and we've got improve its profits. So we know that this is the hook. We've already thought about how would we possibly improve profits. Well, I'm either charging more, I'm selling more, or I'm lowering my cost of production and charging the same price possibly. Okay, so we need to think about those. We also need to think about the value proposition here. Lidl's and Aldi's are definitely discounters. Tesco's are not a luxury supermarket like Harrods or something. I'm sure they won't like being called a supermarket. I do apologise. So you have to think about that. Nobody wants to discount. The only people that will win in a price war will be the consumers, probably in the short term only. So we need to think about what's best for the company in the longer term. Remember, it's been hinted in examiner reports in the past that the chief examiner likes things like short versus longer term perspectives in the conclusions. Our MOPS will be looking at the future. Okay, I've not put MOPS in this because I wanted an entire answer on a page. We'll focus on MOPS in another video or lesson. Okay, so let's think about our points first. So competitive pricing, I need to have in my head, I would maybe just start by writing this down, a contextualized definition of competitive pricing. I want the examiner to start reading your answer and go, yeah, this person knows what they're talking about, instead of, oh my goodness, not another abstract answer. Competitive pricing involves adjusting prices to stay competitive with rivals like Aldi's and Lidl's. Competitive, I'm going to mention the competitors, which have captured significant market share with their low-cost models. Okay, so we've got a contextualized example in some ways of competitive pricing. I'm starting my argument off in context, hopefully the rest would stay there. So I'm thinking of my pros and my cons now. So their current strategy, including the Aldi Price Match initiative, this is up to date by the way, demonstrates their awareness of the importance of competitive pricing. So it's not just saying it's important, yeah, what we're saying is, here's an example of why. That's not a smiley face, well, maybe. So we're going to contextualize everything. Remember, this isn't the answer. This approach is particularly effective in attracting price-sensitive customers. So why is this important? I could then link that into the hook of profits. Okay, I'm not writing this down as a plan, by the way. I might write that down at the start of the paragraph, and then I'm thinking about my pros and cons. I've already picked up my evidence from the case study, and I've got it in my head. I want 3 chains of argument when I'm writing my P paragraphs. As a minimum, hopefully 5. Okay, if you want that top mark, but it's not the amount of chains of argument, it's what you're doing with them. We're going to focus on the basics, because sometimes some students, clearly not in our school, don't actually demonstrate a good understanding of the key term. We need to nail that before we start trying to sprint towards top level 4 answers. Now our cons there, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, constantly lowering these prices is going to reduce my profit margins. Yeah, well, if I'm constantly fighting over price, yeah, the aim in this question, the hook, is to improve profits. So unless, accompanied by cost reductions or increases in sales volume. So if I'm going to charge less per unit, possibly making less gross profit per unit, I need to sell a lot more to improve overall profits. Okay, that's got to be in your answer somewhere. So our increased promotions think about promotions. Think about what you've identified from the case study. So here's my definition. Tesco's promotion strategies, including the Club Card loyalty program and various in-store and online campaigns, have been successful in promoting, fostering customer loyalty and encouraging repeat purchases. This was literally lifted from the article. Yeah. So it can enhance promotional activity, create this perceived value, driving more people into the store, extra footfall, tap of feet, and sales that go with that. Maybe I love the idea of this deal so much, 19 pence bag of carrots at Christmas time, I go in there to buy carrots and buy 100 quid's worth of turkey whilst I'm there. Okay, these promotions could bring people in. The risk with increased promotion is that they can sometimes devalue the brand's perception. Now, remember, if we're talking about market positioning strategies, you have to remember multiple units for this type of question. If I change, for instance, price or quality, the customer perception, not what Tesco's aim to do, but the customer's perception, if the customers suddenly think of them as cheap and cheerful, then maybe Tesco's are moving into a market segment that they don't really want to be perceived in. Okay, look at the campaign we talked about with French Connection UK, with the t-shirts that look like someone was swearing on them, for example. That devalued their more premium brand. Okay, and they're still mostly available on M&M Direct through discount channels. Okay, it's not done the brand the world of good. It takes a lot to reposition a company. If you accidentally go into a sector you don't want to be in, maybe it's hard for them to come back. Okay, here's the question again, just so we've got it, and we're going to walk through this question. Okay, so first, I'm not going to be writing option 1, competitive pricing. I'm doing that for you, but I would start with this. Okay, competitive pricing is a strategy of setting the price of a product or service based on the competitors charging. In Tesco's context, this would mean adjusting their prices in line with Aldi's and Lidl's. There is no doubt whatsoever that I'm about to answer this question. The examiner is probably relieved because they haven't got someone just going randomly into an answer. And personally, I'll be looking forward to maybe reading this question, depending how many bad ones someone has presented before. So I wouldn't write pluses next to it, but nothing wrong with that, to be honest with you. Competitive pricing can attract price-sensitive customers, potentially increasing their market share. I'm not linked it directly into profits there yet. This is clearly my point. By adopting competitive prices, Tesco could better align, chain of argument, emboldened for you, its prices with those discounted supermarkets. Bit of context there. Appealing to a broader customer base. During times of economic uncertainty, which is what we're in at the moment, inflation went back up to 4% yesterday. The government keep promising that it will come down. Maybe this negatively impacts consumer confidence even more. Therefore, I might go to Aldi's a bit more. This could lead, we do like those chains of argument that we are common, they're easy to pick up in answers, to an increase in customer footfall and potentially higher sales volumes. Okay, market share, sales volumes, hang on, where's the profit? Aldi's growth, so we'll come to the end of the chain of argument there. Okay, so it's not directly linked to profits at the moment, but we've got sales volumes and we've got market share. Aldi's growth in the UK, with the market share reaching 10.1%, nice context, illustrates the effectiveness of competitive pricing in attracting budget-conscious customers. Okay, so it's justifying the competitive pricing strategy for Tesco's using the evidence from the case study to do with Aldi's. However, competitive pricing might reduce profit margins. Lowering prices to match competitors could lead to reduced margins for Tesco's. Okay, bit of a repeat there. Maybe we could save a little bit there, maybe. If the price reductions do not result in a proportional increase in sales volume, this is what we put in our plan, Tesco's overall profitability could be adversely affected. Very focused on profit, not so much focused on profit, but it's talking about sales and customers, and now we've gone into profit. Probably going to get forgiven for most of that. The grocery retail sector context typically operates on low margins, a bit of my own knowledge, but we've covered it in class, and a race to the bottom in pricing could significantly impact profitability. Echoing the point you've got there, I've not emboldened all of the chains of argument there, but we're up to 5. Okay, when you explain your evidence at the end of your chain of argument, if you've written 3, you're sort of explaining, but you're also justifying the evidence. You're going to stick another couple of chains of argument in there. Okay, still doesn't look like a lot of text though, does it? Option 2, increasing promotions refers to the strategy of using marketing tactics like special offers, discount, loyalty programs, and ad campaigns to boost sales. For Tesco's, this could involve enhancing their club card offers or introducing new in-store promotions. Okay, quite a lot, but we want our definitions to be in context. Enhancing promotions could increase customer loyalty and average spend. My point, by ramping up, chain of argument, its promotional activity, Tesco's could capitalise on its existing custom club card loyalty program to offer more personalised and attractive deals. This could not only encourage customer loyalty, but also, nice trick to get another chain in there, encourage shoppers to purchase more during each visit. Now, the evidence, if there's a chain of argument in there, hey, Tesco Club Card Loyalty Programme with over 19 million members, context, has been a key driver in building customer loyalty and repeat business. There's extra in there. Over-reliance on promotions might lead to inconsistent spending and brand devaluation. That's my market repositioning point. An increased focus on promotions might create customer expectations for constant deals, potentially affecting the regular spending pattern. So if it's not on offer, maybe I don't buy it. Now we need to sort of evidence that and give it some sort of comparison. And I felt that I needed to add in something extra, which we'll come to in a second. Furthermore, frequent promotions could inadvertently cheapen the brand image and might reposition the brand into a different market segment. Companies that heavily utilize promotions often struggle to maintain consistent sales outside the promotion periods. Okay, it's in context sort of, and we need a bit of extra context in here, as seen in the furniture sector, not supermarkets, who always seem to have a sale on, indicating a potential risk for Tesco's. Now, we didn't say this was going to be a perfect answer. Now, my advice is bringing in furniture sector is great. You're bringing your own knowledge. It's a bit of application, but actually, if we look through this, I'm thinking, what evidence have we got here for supermarkets? What evidence have we quoted from the case study? This is a reasonable paragraph, but is it contextualized enough to get to the top of level 4? I don't think so. Conclusion and justification. Don't think of this as just a conclusion. We need to justify our answer. Let's see if it's justified. In conclusion, while competitive pricing is crucial in retaining price-sensitive customers, Tesco's should prioritise, its increasing promotions and its primary strategy to enhance profits. Let's go back to the question. So if we look at the second half of the question, to evaluate these two options and recommend which one should they use to improve its profits. Okay, so this question doesn't say don't use the other one. Okay, so if you said I advise they don't use the other one, then we would have problems here, because that would show a lack of understanding of this sector, because they do use competitive pricing and they use promotion. So this use doesn't necessarily mean not use the other one. Now down here, I've used the word prioritise. It would have been nice if it was in the question up here. We had prioritise in a 20 marker this week in class for a different topic, but use, which one should they? Well, you could get away with maybe saying use this one and not mentioning the other one, but hedging my bets here. Not sure if you agree. We'll soon find out. Is this justified is the question. The approach utilises Tesco's strong foundation in customer data and loyalty programs and aligns with the customer-focused trend favouring personalised experiences, building on all that success with the loyalty card. I don't think it really justifies it well, which is probably why I wrote this. Though competitive pricing is important, its potential impact on profit margins makes it a less viable option for Tesco's compared with the benefits of a robust promotional strategy. Now, you need to compare these competing arguments. If you just write P in favour, P against option 1, repeat for section 2, overall I recommend this one, full stop, you've not really done that comparative argument. And if you look at the level 4 standards, you're going to see that we need to do a comparison. And that's why we teach the justification in the way that we do. Now you'll notice that there's no MOPS on here. Number 1, because I didn't want to go to a second slide or use smaller text. And number 2, because we can talk about it. So MOPS, markets, objectives or ownership. In this case, it would be objectives. Product or service, or the situation in the economy. Now, we've got current affairs in our head. We know we've got 4% inflation. We know we've had energy costs and increase in mortgage costs because of the Bank of England base rate. We can bring in our understanding of YED. We can think about something that might change in the future. Okay, it might be that we have an economic boom. You never know. We've got an election coming soon. Maybe more people will aspire to come back to Tesco's from Aldi's and Lidl's. Maybe we have such an economic boom that Tesco start losing customers the other way to Waitrose. So you can think about this in context. My advice is to find something in the case study, not just recreate reality and make something up. It's got to be in context. So use something that might change in the future. We'll spend more time on MOPS. Hopefully that was useful for you. Here is a reminder of that structure, and here is a reminder of the 20 markers. So accurate and thorough knowledge and understanding supported throughout all your points and your conclusion and your MOPS. We didn't write a MOPS. We'll just pretend we didn't have enough time for a MOPS with this walk through the mark scheme. Is it in context? Okay. Is every single paragraph in context? Now, there was one of those points that I mentioned I don't think was really contextualized well. Yes, there was some of my own knowledge brought in, but I was talking about furniture retailing. Okay, now, yes, that's a good example of the point, but we needed something to do with grocery retailing. Okay, and I know Tesco's do other stuff, but didn't really mention that, so you can't just leap to that. Okay, I'm thinking not perfect. Logical chains of argument, I think they're all right. You can let me know if you feel that they're not. And also the way that the evidence was sort of interpreted at the end of that chain of argument brought us up to 5. Okay, you can count them independently. Quantitative data, we've got numerical stuff in there. Didn't do any calculations. Quite nice to have a cheeky calculation in there and interpret what that means. A change between one and another wasn't really the opportunity there. But if you see numbers, the golden rule is try and do a calculation with them and then talk about what that means in context with your answer. Loads of qualitative information, except for that one paragraph, other than brought in a little bit of my own knowledge. An awareness of validity, yeah. And so how valid is the evidence? Well, when we're talking about price-sensitive customers, it wasn't just saying, do this because I think it's great. It was do this to retain price-sensitive customers. There's a bit of validity behind how that is being used. We've got our balanced comparisons that I mentioned, And actually, throughout the argument, it wasn't really well compared between the two arguments. However, the justification in the conclusion just tied that all nicely together. And one of the last things the examiner would have read was that comparison, and hopefully they would have picked up on it. There was an overall answer, which is that recommendation, but it sort of acknowledged that yes, they're going to use both, but they should prioritize another one. And I do think it would have been a weaker answer if I would have said they should do this one and not the other, because actually that's not reality in context with what was described in the case study. Hopefully that was helpful. It's definitely not a perfect answer. I don't know, mid-level 4, even if it's bottom level 4, it's still 75%. And if we get 75% overall in the real exam, I think we can do cartwheels out of the exam hall, because it's going to be either a very, very good A grade or potentially an A star. And we are living the dream. Remember, you're not after full marks, you're after level 4 when you're talking about the essays. Have fun.